In this video, we're going to learn about cell referencing. All that means is that in a spreadsheet, you can go to a cell and type in a formula that refers to data in other cells, and it will calculate the result automatically. But one of the main reasons that I wanted to show you this is so that we can talk about what's called circular referencing, which is a problem if you reference cells in the wrong way. So let's suppose in this case that we have 10 different shapes. The shapes could either be a rectangle or a triangle. And we want to know the area of the shape if it's a rectangle and the area of a shape if it's a triangle. And we are given the base and the height for each shape. We'll add two columns next to the data for rectangle and triangle. For the area of a rectangle, the base multiplied by the height. For the area of a triangle, it's equal to the base times 1/2 the height. Now, we could have accomplished the same thing in this cell if we had typed 15 times 18 instead of referencing the cells themselves. The problem with this, though, is that if the base or the height were to be updated, then the formula would not recognize that update. But since we have referenced these cells, the formula will recognize and update if the base data changes. Now, if we select both of these formulas, we can click this little box down here in the bottom right, double click, and it will drag the formulas all the way to the bottom. So let's take another look at shape number 1. Let's say that the base in this case is actually also 18, the same as the height. If we update this cell here, you'll see these two formulas calculating their areas will also update. So it's a best practice anytime we have data in a formula that we reference a cell with that data rather than typing it directly into the formula itself. Another common area calculation that we might do is for a square. So we'll add a third column and we'll use our format painter to keep these relatively the same. We'll choose the same column width. And then to do a square, we'll type the equal sign, we'll reference the base, and with a square, the base and the height are the same, and so we can multiply by the same number, or we can use the square function, which if you hold down Shift 6, you get the little caret symbol on your keyboard, then type in 2. This will allow it to multiply or square the number that's selected. So now you'll see we have the area for our square. We can again double click and drag that all the way down. Let's now talk about what a circular reference is by going through an example. If I wanted to calculate the height of this rectangle, knowing what its area is and what the base is, I could type in equals the area divided by the base, and that would then give me the height. But when I push enter here, I get an error message. There are one or more circular references where a formula refers to its own cell directly or indirectly. This might cause them to calculate incorrectly. Try removing or changing these references or moving the formulas to different cells. Whenever you see this warning or any type of warning in Excel where it doesn't recognize your formula or sees some kind of problem, you should never ignore it. Don't just click away, even if it calculates the result in the cell. Never assume that it's okay. Find out what the problem is and fix it. In this case, it has a circular reference. So now what do we do? When we click OK, we now see this blue line showing us where the reference is circular. It's circular because our calculation for the area refers to the base and the height, and then our calculation for the height refers to the result of that initial formula. So it's referencing itself. This reasoning or logic that we've used is circular, and Excel cannot compute that. Actually, no calculator could compute that. So what we would have to do is eliminate one of the formulas. You can only have the area of the rectangle be based on the base and the height, and not the height based on the area and the base. So I could fix this here if I typed in 288 as a hard-coded number, then my formula for the height would calculate correctly. Or I could type in the height as a hard-coded number, and then my formula for the area would calculate correctly. but you cannot do both because it ends up being a circular reference. If you see circular referencing in your workbook or get an error message like that, you can always come to the Formulas tab at the top, and you can go to this error checking box and choose circular references. It will actually show you what cells have an error. This might help if you get a workbook from someone else that already has a circular reference, or if maybe you decide to save your work and come back later to solve the problem. Understanding how to resolve circular references is a key skill as you work and create formulas throughout a workbook that reference other cells.